Boop. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Good evening. Curious if Discord audio works at 30,000. Oh, you're in the air right now? Nice. How's everyone doing tonight? We got like a few people in here. Not too many. This might be quick if JFresh and Dork don't show up because I think Dork's got something going on and then JFresh is away from home right now. End of summer and all that. What the fuck does that mean? Tell me how to make money worth GS. Weird. You already know how to make money with GS. You told me you paid for it like 10 times over before you blew yourself up like 5 times. So do the thing you were doing that made money. Okay, so don't buy puts. I wonder if we're gonna get people. I was thinking about doing an extra stream every day after market close where I go over the research report data instead of posting them in pickles picks. Because, like, it takes me more time to, like, copy and paste all of them than it would just be, like, run through them on a fucking stream. Like a pickle news hour. Show us how you search them so I can do it myself. Nope. Blow it out your ass. You have to have like client side research turned on at your broker. So deposit like 3 million at Fidelity or 2 million at IBKR and you'll be golden. Sure, just let me shuffle some cash around. Yeah. You could also pay $25,000 a year for a Bloomberg terminal if you want. That's a tertiary option. Or you could get a corporate account for LSEG. When will GS offer it? I'm looking into it, actually. We'll see. Very hard to pull off, but there might be a way. It requires like actual negotiation with the with like investment banks. Slot machine, what's up? How you doing,
Hey
dude?
man, how's it going?
It's going all right. You got
Um,
Gammastrike questions?
yeah,
We don't have to.
yeah.
We don't have to rush right into it if you don't want
Oh no, it doesn't matter to me. If you wanted to wait for to see if Jay Fresh comes around, I'm fine.
to. All right. How you been?
I've been good, man.
Nice.
Life's been busy, but it's been a fun time to trade, man.
It has been. Yeah, the last few days have been pretty fun. I like
Finally got
volatility.
some. Oh, don't we all?
It's the only. It's the only way bad entries get rewarded.
Yeah, you can say that again. I feel like it's like the time of the pickle jar where like I kind of like think of it as like like those animals that like lay like a lot of eggs like turtles on the beach, and then like how the turtles got to make it to the water, and the ones that make it to the water survive and the ones that don't die.
Hmm.
I feel like that's the pickle jar in like high volatility environments. Like either you start making your portfolio or you blow it up.
Yeah, that's generally what happens. You're not wrong. It's it's definitely a like a very hit or miss situation.
Yeah, but that's where GS comes in. You gotta find the good entries.
Jim Martine's wife. What do you mean? You blew up your port? I thought you just bought like boomer stocks and sat on them, or like obscure sort of penny stocks, small caps. It's no fun.
Did a lot of the pickle jar blow up today? I felt like today was like the golden day for the pickle jar. Just buy it, put and chill at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. I think pretty much. Probably a lot of people got fucked on the bounce when I said like at the end of the day, I was literally like, this is the test where pickle jar full ports puts and then we bounce. And I was like, I'm gonna get some long like some upside exposure here. And
Yeah,
then
yeah, no,
uh
I
and then
remember
like
when we
15
had like
minutes
the cancel
later,
the
people were
stream.
like, ah, I'm fucked.
No, I mean, look, for me, like, and this is coming from someone that doesn't know how to use, like, obviously use GS, as well as like you and some of the other guys. Like, I wouldn't even think about getting a put after we had like an 80-point move already. Because how much more can we honestly go down after going blowing through 80 points?
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people thought that at 63.50 too.
Oh yeah,
And we did just keep fucking
yeah.
dropping.
I mean, the 50 drop was nice because if it was such a large like there's so much gamma there like on the rest of the chain like when you're looking at like all the expirations that if you lost that it felt like it was going to be a violent move regardless or at least get a little bit of pace.
Mm, yeah. Alright.
Like for me it was I
If
had
it looked
85
it
for
looked bearish as fuck to me all morning, but
oh yeah.
like even where we opened, it looked bearish.
I mean it was right above the implied we were right at the top of the implied move.
We opened into that range where there was like no delta the night before, so unless bulls just like came in with like fucking 50 billion in gamma, we were gonna drop no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean losing 70-75 was a good confirmation to get the 50 test. Um, you want me to ask my question
Yeah,
or?
go ahead.
Yeah, really my question just My question really just revolves around like the Greeks by expiration, if I'm wording that tool right. And
Okay.
I'm just so I know that you were saying that in low gamma or very negative gamma, like expiration days, that the MM is has likely mispriced options. Anyway, so that's where like supports and resistances may not matter as much.
Yeah.
Why? I'm just more curious to like the why behind that.
Hmm. So like, why are they mispriced? Because the market maker
Yeah.
is not holding like a shitload of inventory for their gamma exposure. And the potential like range for price action in the intraday is much broader because there's overall less gamma at all the strikes. And so, they kind of like you tend to get really large or outsized moves in like the underlying. And so, um like low gamma, low delta environments they tend to be able to like bleed over the expected move. Just because there's so little resistance that like price actions kind of just push and pulled by the market.
Is that also because it means that the MM doesn't have as much like dynamic hedging that they need to do?
Yeah, yeah. There's just
Okay.
yeah. Also, like in those environments, options reprice really quickly because they tend to be volatile. Or at least like intraday realized vol is much higher. So, you know, in that scenario, like they're repricing options a lot during the intraday anyway, and that can like kind of shift the implied move. Whereas like if you have a shitload of gamma, it's very unlikely you're going to move outside of the implied move because the market makers has so much exposure, you know, at the center at the close.
Okay. So then like because like part of why like I like this is that it helps me to like get an idea of like when we may get like days that may have like more outside moves. Obviously like taking into account like all the positioning and all that, but this like kind of like helps to give me that like first idea, I feel like.
Yeah, no, it's actually it's very good at doing that.
Is there like an equivalent of like that with like the delta by expiration or no?
A little bit. I mean, if there's very low delta, very low gamma, then there's just not a lot of change in delta for moves at spot.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean it's kind of the like remember gamma is just derivative. So
Yeah. Yeah, just the
like
derivative of delta.
99% of the time that you have like high delta, you'll have high gamma, or high gamma, you'll have high delta.
Okay. Um, the last question I had about this was just the Greeks by expiration in general was is there like a is it like any better or worse to look at that like because like when to look at it depending on like the data settlement, so like I know that you do like pickles picks like in the middle of the night, so then
Hmm.
that means you're working off of the evening refresh, and I like personally I don't do like my DD until like 7:30 a.m., so I'm working off of like the morning refresh. And like
Well,
I saw in pickles picks this morning like the Greeks by the gamma expiration for today on Pickles Picks was like 1 billion, but like when I looked this morning, it went up to 4 billion. Was that like because of the move,
that was
the
the
morning?
overnight move, yeah.
Oh,
'Cause it
okay, that makes a lot of
probably grabs
sense.
spot price with the report. But I
Yeah,
mentioned that in the gamma, like where I posted the gamma curve picture and Pickles
yeah, how we
picks.
picked up the 4 billion, five
Yeah,
billion in gamma.
5 billion gamma.
Okay, all right, that makes a lot of sense then. I don't think I have any other questions. I know Natua wanted me to ask a question while I was up here.
Need to?
Yeah, yeah. He asked if I could ask you what would be a good way to use GS to identify ideal strikes and levels to sell 30-day SPX puts in a positive delta and gamma environment?
Okay, hold on. Repeat it. Sorry, I didn't hear you. It just like
Yeah,
cut out
yeah,
on my headphones.
no, you're good. So he wanted to ask how we can use GS to identify ideal strikes and levels to sell like 30 DTE puts on SPX in like a positive delta and gamma environment.
30 DT puts. You probably want to sell them below like gamma neutral or below delta neutral.
Okay.
So confirmed tests of gamma or delta neutral. I mean, like you can see that here on like SPX. Like if you have like an upside move above GN, you
Are
generally
you sharing your screen in Discord or is it just YouTube?
no, just on YouTube.
I'll pull it up. No
Oh
problem.
wait, that's the wrong screen. There we go.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean when you get a test of it.
Yeah. So like you can play like a downside test of DN and then like 30 days out. So what's that like May 30th? So June 30th. Market's like up here, So that's and most likely he's probably talking about like equities, but you can do the same thing with this.
Yeah.
Like Apple, you wait for the GN test and then sell it, or
Yeah.
it's pretty reliable generally. Outside of like bear market conditions, in which case like you should just be risked off anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I guess the last question I have is so in my like intraday day trading, I feel like I'm good at identifying the major supports and resistances, and like when we get there, I feel like I have trouble trying to see the whole picture of like what may be going on. Do you just have like any general advice for like trying to like get to that next like I guess like stage and like using the intraday tools other than just
I mean, well, what do
many of
you
the
what do
hands
you
could
what do
just
you
be
mean
staring
like
at it.
what do you mean like what's going on? Like
like
determining
like
if
the
like
changes in the positioning.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I would always go look at like Delta, especially if it's like closer to end of day where Delta starts to get a little bit more dramatic. I would look at like Vana speed, see where like the high levels for that are if you get like a breakout move. I mean, in most instances, right? Like I think like a long time ago I called doing this like playing like SPX Brick Breaker because you kind of like you do this thing where you like you're playing levels, right, when you're trading intraday SPX. And you're playing like a bounce from this level or down to this level, and you're probably playing the test. Or some people like to play the trends, right? You can play the failure, or if you have like a breakout, and then that you can play the additional breakout to the upside, which we had today, right down here. And that was like our squeeze into close. Some people play that. Some people just play level to level, so they'll be like targeting like levels of major interest, and large rejections. But no matter how you do it, I mean, basically you're always faced with this like thing where you get a test and you want to know what's going to happen next. And there's a few things you can look at, right? You can look at out of the money IV. You can look at in the money IV, right? Because that's going to tell you, like, are sold puts accumulating? Sold puts? Or, are out of the money calls being bought?
Yeah, I think that's part of what I need to like start getting better at too is gaining because I feel like that also comes with like kind of having an idea of where to look as well.
Yeah, it's also important to, go out to your, like, you should be, if you're not running this, like, separately on another monitor, you should be checking it every, like 5 minutes or so. And this will get better with the newer version of live data that we're doing. Not this page. This isn't changing much, but the like the live data page will allow you to kind of. Do I want to tease that? It'll kind of allow you to choose the time frame, like time window that you're looking at the change in options during. So you'll be able to like choose, like 5 minutes or 15 minutes, and it'll show you the aggregate of all of those updated at the same speed as the rest of the data, right? But you'll have a rolling window. So basically, you'll be looking at like the last 14 minutes plus the current minute. And then
it'll be that like it'll
yep.
average out the 14 minutes as a minute goes, knocks off the
Yep.
last minute.
Yep. Yeah. And so that way you get a better idea of the price action going on around spot. And that was actually like a huge back end task for us to build, because then we've got to like sort all of the trades into like itemized little containers. And there's so many fucking trades. But like even now, you can check this and watch, the path of like delta, gamma. Like obviously all the gamma, like delta turned positive here. We had a ton of call buying into the end of the day. But this was largely negative. But when this move started, you had all negative delta, right? And then the delta below spot started to flip positive, and then this was still all negative. And so then you start to have positive delta under negative delta the upside, which is squeezy, right? And so that's like one place to look. You can look here, at like Vega to see where your like big breakout points for implied volatility are. You could look at Vana to look at where like continuations in price action are likely to end, because like Vana and speed are usually going to be like kind of like bowl shaped like this, and generally the peaks at either side are going to like cap price action. Now this is especially true in positive environments. In negative environments, Vana can like get blown out, and I mean I think everyone here knows what happens when Vana gets blown out. It's not pretty. That's when you get like a 3% down day, because basically the MM starts to hedge the downside move by buying puts, and they buy 0 DTE puts. So it just catalyzes like downside continuation after downside continuation, because they buy the puts, and then that then they hedge the delta, so they're selling, right? So and then that puts the puts they just bought in the money, which increases the delta and the downside exposure. So then they buy more puts, and that it kind of just keeps going and going and going. Comical name, fuck yeah, dude. Welcome to Pigeon Whale, man. Thank you so much. I have to do the thing.
That, like, if anything, just confirms that like what I'm doing is what I should. Because I really only play like when I do the intradays, I either play an end range, like we get the implied move, and like it's looking like we're gonna like stay like bounce off of it or like reject if it's the upper side.
Yeah.
And then just playing like the major levels, and then everything else in between. I just like I could try and speculate on it, but like, is it worth the risk?
Yeah, I mean, implied move's a good range. I will say that generally the implied move is not the maximum move that is possible for the day. It's just that, like, when you start to get above the implied move or start to fall below the implied move, you end up in a situation where you're dealing with, like, everybody in the market is incentivized to close that option or sell that option. So if they're long the option, they want to shut it down. If they're short the option, and if they're long the option, they want to sell it. If they're not positioned, they want to short the option, because the IV on the options is going to spike as the MM reprices them. And this is where you get like you'll get like those like out of the money options that are like a couple bucks, it'll be like $2, you know, and the market dumps and that contract shoots up to like $7. And it doesn't even go in the money, it just goes up. Like that's that option repricing, and that makes everybody want to sell the fuck out of that. Because it's not even in the money, but it's priced like it's, it's already being priced like it's like a couple bucks in the money. And yeah, you want to, like, generally speaking, you really, really want to sell those options. So, that's kind of what happens. And that's what happened this morning. Right? We opened so far above the implied move, and calls were so overpriced from the overnight move that everyone just sold the fuck out of them.
Yeah, I was just staring
It was
at
like
the
it
dots
was
I
like
had
it was
sitting
like
at 400 and well, just
$18
that.
for like a like at the money call at open.
Yeah, that was like kind of how I saw that the rejection was going to come because I saw when we tested 90 that a lot of sold calls started coming in. So then when we failed the second test or to test it the second time, that's when I knew I was probably good getting a put.
Yeah, yeah, that was a smart choice. Usually that kind of open, like the overnight gap up into open, is a very good opportunity for that.
Yeah,
Unless IV is really high, and then you have to be careful that you don't just like continue to like bear flag up all day.
yeah. All right. Those are the only questions I had. Thank
Okay,
you guys so much. This stuff's great.
it's just me. Oh, for the gamma strike,
Well,
yeah, yeah, no,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
it's pretty fucking
Well, no, thank
awesome.
you for tonight. Oh, dude, it's the best thing in the world, man. I can't believe I tried to trade without this thing before. Now I just think it's so irresponsible to trade like without a data like provider like this.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely
All right.
helps a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Enjoy
All
the
right,
rest
man.
of your night, Kirk.
You
See
too,
ya.
man. I'll catch you later. Oh, what happened? Maximus. Oh, there we go. What's up, man?
What's up?
Yeah, J
Happy
Fresh and
Wednesday.
Dork are gonna be so pissed that you came up here and they
I
weren't
know.
here.
I saw that they're not around yet. However, I may be occupied later or asleep or
That's reasonable. They're not gonna be here at all. I think if Dork's having his like anniversary, like his I think it's like first kiss anniversary. I don't know what it is actually. I think it might be his actual anniversary. And then J Fresh is like somewhere in the south, not at home.
it'll have to just be lore at that point.
Yeah,
Uh, yes, and I blood in, blood out. I'm back in, so that was me. Also,
that's beautiful. Thank you. Welcome back to Pigeon Whale.
yeah, man.
Would you like to shit on any of the pores while you're up here?
Say again.
Would you like to shit on any of the pores while you're up here?
So far, it's still new, so it feels new.
Okay, all right. Get used to it. Get used. Let's
Yeah.
take your time.
Well, new again, new again. And the reason I've never chimed in, I listen to obviously all these. Half the time I'm usually behind the wheel or otherwise occupied. And the other answer is that ELI 5 is about 5.5 years and 3 chimpanzee generations away from my understanding of most things anyway. So,
No worries.
yeah, I've the same questions that have been answered so many times, but I still don't usually understand a lot of them.
Hit me.
Obviously,
What do you
on
got?
on the live page, the two bottom charts. I know obviously you guys reference them constantly, and I watch them all day long, and I just trying to you know it's you need the animation of this is the bicycle trying to ride up the hill or down the hill or they're getting more speed. Literally like ELIT. Like
Hmm.
explain it like I'm a tree trunk.
Yeah, I can. I mean, you're not.
You've done it enough times. I just got to go back to my homework and reread the docs, etc.
I don't mind. I don't mind doing it again while you're here because I think it helps everyone. A lot of people, honestly, are very afraid to just come up and ask basic shit. Because we get into like market maker PNL and convexity of the dynamic hedge and bullshit like that, and I think it dissuades people from asking simpler questions, but I mean, you've been around forever. Like I don't fucking care if anybody doesn't understand something. I'll try to help you get it.
Okay.
And so, you know, you're not far off with your bicycle analogy for gamma, which is this chart down here. You know, you're looking at those bars all day, and they kind of make like a little hill, right? And you really can think about these like this. You know, you got your
Epic pen.
is it working?
Negative.
Fucking piece of shit. Hold on, I got this. Bum, 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 bum. I'm going to share the entire screen. There it goes.
Right.
Is it working on fucking YouTube? There we go. All right. Now we're playing with gas. Fire? I don't know. Let's do the little guy here. I'll like a little guy here. And then like a fat dude there.
You got to narrate it like you're Bob Ross while you're doing this.
All right, so you've got these bars, right? And each of these is, you know, your gamma at the strike. You got your positive, you got your negative, and you got your little fucking bicycle, right? Handlebars, little guy. And basically, you know, the way you want to think about this is kind of think about it like terrain, right? Like you're biking, and this thing is a really steep hill. And that's why we draw the line from the top of each box. So you guys can get like an idea of what's going on with that. And you can visualize it as a curve versus visualizing it like step by step. So like these areas where you're going from negative to positive tend to be very steep. And so you'll notice that price tends to be supported at the positive and the positive side of this when price is up here and it like falls back. And that's kind of because like you just biked all the way the fuck up this massive hill, right? And you don't want to slide back down that hill again. So you're gonna try to stay here so you can move up further. And so that's literally what you get is you get, you know, people in the options market, you know, trying to push this up and keep it from falling back. If it does start to fall back though, and you're on a little bicycle, you're just gonna slide right back down. Like all of that exposure is gonna dump, and then, you know, you can like start to slow yourself down around here. But, you know, ultimately, you're probably going to fall into the bottom of that. If you're up here and you manage to kind of get over this little hump, well, then you got another hill that you have to climb. And so what'll probably happen is you'll probably go back and forth on either side of this to get up some momentum. And then if you get up enough momentum, you can kind of climb out to the top of this. But you don't want to go this way because it's just a cliff. So generally around here, you know, you kind of take a break and these get a little steeper to the downside, and then you can ride back down the hill this way.
Okay. So I've seen a lot of times, you know, we've talked about when gamma's flat, and obviously that means you have those couple of strikes are flat relative to each other.
Yeah, they just don't have, there's not a lot of change in gamma. So it's like, you know, you've biked up the big hill, but it's very easy to just like bike across the plateau.
Sure. The part that it doesn't matter the total amplitude of the positive versus negative in terms of like you have three strikes to three strikes to the negative that are all flat. So you know, traversing them should be easy.
Yeah.
However, there are three larger total net gamma strikes to the upside, are those pulling harder? Like it's not always that flat gamma equals traveling in that direction. There's obviously 100 other components. But
Yeah, don't think, well, like when you're riding a bicycle, no, this is good. Don't think of gamma as moving price. It doesn't. It's there. It, change, it's the change of the rate in delta, and so the more gamma there is, the more rate of change in the dynamic hedge. But this is your terrain. This isn't, so like when you ride a bike, the road doesn't lift up behind you to push you forward. Right. So that's the action of the market participants is what moves spot or the little bicycle.
okay.
The gamma tells you how price is going to behave at those levels and how difficult it is for the market to move up, or how easy it is for the market to move up, how easy it is for the market to move down. It's the terrain. So, if you're looking at the upside and you're coming out of negative gamma and you go to the upside and it's kind of low, you might get something like this where you have like little bumps, and one's like the big strikes are bigger and the small strikes are smaller, but it's all relatively flat. This is kind of just like really easy to move over. It's kind of like in mountain biking when you have that, like, or dirt biking, when you have those like little hills or bunny hills or whatever the fuck they're called. Like you can go over those pretty fast, not too fast, because you're going to get like hung up here a little bit. But you can go over them pretty quickly. Whereas, if it's like the example I showed before and you have these big, massive ranges, it's going to be a lot harder to climb up of them. And always remembering that a lot like gravity, the more gamma exposure the market maker gets, like the higher you get above positive gamma, the more the market maker's pushing back against that. And then, as you fall to the downside, the more the market maker is pushing into the bottom. But also, when you go back to when you're a negative gamma and you go back to the upside, they push to the upside. So you can get a lot of speed both ways down here. But in positive gamma environments, the market maker is always pushing back against the increase in gamma exposure.
Right. And all the gamma, all the change based on gamma, it needs delta to have that happen as well.
Yes. And so, if you want to know where you're finding like support and resistances, most of the time you're going to see something like this where, there is positive and then like there's positive delta and then there's, less delta at the next strike.
Right.
Negative delta is actually bullish. Like this would keep squeezing. But if like the next strike is also positive but way lower, it's going to be really hard to move up there because gamma's also probably going to fall at that strike, and it's just going to make it far more difficult for the price to move up. And then like trying to move up here is almost impossible because the dealer just has nothing to do but sell delta there. And then also, remember their delta's dropping. So when, you're going from a lot of delta exposure at this strike to very little delta exposure at the upside strike, that means that the market maker is going to sell because they don't need to carry as much of a hedge at that strike.
All right.
Okay.
That's pretty awesome. I very much appreciate it.
No problem. I hope that helps you.
Yeah, well,
Do you want me to do the other chart? The other one's pretty simple. It's just IV. Like you have your IV at each strike, and that's your little green line. And that usually goes like this in the intraday.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll notice that like off the axis, which is spot, it'll be tilted more favorably one way or the other. That kind of skew in the smile, or what turns the smile into a smirk, can be very representative of like market demand. So if you have a smirk where the downside IV is higher than the upside IV, which we had for a lot of the intraday today, if you were watching, that means like put demand is very high. Now, this doesn't tell you if that put demand is bought to close or bought to open, but it probably doesn't matter. Like,
Sorry. When you see there'll be slight differences in the angles between per strike as it goes up incrementally. It'll kind of slight zig and slight zag.
yeah. So you'll see strikes that have higher demand and strikes that have lower demand. Like a big part of our failure from 5350 or 6350 today was we saw those like 6305, 6310 puts like spike way above, like you had this strike and then you had like 6305 like at the same level, and then you had like the 6310 almost at the same level as those, and like that implies that demand is so high on these strikes that the IV at those strikes is equivalent to the IV at the even further out of the money strike.
Where it normally wouldn't be.
Yeah, normally the further out of the money, the higher the IV, like substantially higher. So, I mean, when you see demand like that, that's a really big signal. But a lot of times, you're kind of just sitting at spot and you've got a strike on either side, and IV is kind of flat. And you'll notice these kind of like tilt up, tilt down a little, but they don't move a lot, like these at the money strikes. But what you can watch is these just out of the money strikes, and you'll see like if you gotta actually stick your mouse on them, but you can watch the number, and like this might be 21, and this might be 21, and you're like, fuck, which way is this gonna go, right? And you might want to watch for like the demand. Like you can watch your other signals over here, right? But you also might want to watch for the demand here. Like if this drops to 20 and this moves up to 22, that's really significant, right? That means not only is, our puts likely being sold here, but also, calls are probably being bought here because, the IV is tipping. Like you're looking for that tip. And sometimes, they both just go up, and that means you're probably going to chop. Sometimes they both go up substantially. And that's also like indicative of very flat price action. But watching those move and kind of teeter totter back and forth can give you an idea of like the demand just outside of spot. And, on occasion, the spot, like the at the money strikes will move too, but it'll be far less noticeable.
That is a much more useful explanation of what that does. So
You can also use that to determine where a breakout will be, because you'll see that like sometimes you'll have like these strikes are very flat, and then you'll see like vol goes up really sharply here. And, if this strike is crossed to the downside, like below 25, IB is going to pick up really, really rapidly. And then to the upside, you can do the same thing, but with crush.
awesome. Now I'm a quarter of a percent educated on.
Awesome. Baby steps.
Absolutely, dude. It works every day though. It's very, very helpful. Mostly just listening, trying to find a correlation with what you're saying and what I'm seeing is as long as you don't sleep late.
Yeah, well, my hormones have just been fucked recently. Like, I was on this like allergy medication that they put me on from like the 70s, and it just cratered like all of my like serotonin and dopamine levels to like the point where they like it looked like I'd been on like a crack binge.
Yeah, cocaine.
And Yeah.
allergy medication from the 70s.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. And so yeah, like it's just been like it's fucking hard to wake up in the morning. Like it's so hard to get out of bed. Once I'm out of bed, I'm like fine, but it's so fucking hard to wake up, especially with the hours I keep.
I
You
was
know,
gonna say try posting pickles pics before 4 a.m.
you. They're most accurate between 2 and 4 in the morning.
In that case, carry on.
Thank you.
Either way, bro, very awesome, very much appreciated. I will continue listening and try not to fall asleep like I usually do.
All right, man.
But
Have a good night.
It makes for good attendance on the stream. See ya.
See you later, dude.
Thanks.
Oh, I can help you with that.
Yeah, I'm working on it. No, you.
Nope. I got you, bud. What if game is flat but very large? That's still considered flat? Well, it's relative to the strikes around it. Remember the gravity analogy where you have like big planets and little planets? If you have two big planets next to each other, it's pretty easy for you to just orbit both of these big planets because you can kind of slingshot off one to the other. So it's very easy to move across them. But if you have like a big planet and a little planet, it's going to take like a lot of pull to get away from the big planet out to the little planet. And then the little planet's like probably not going to help you get back to the big planet. But if you can get past that like midway point, then the big planet's gravity will snap you back in. So just try to think of it that way. Like think of it as, you know, advanced physics. Because that'll be so much fucking easier to understand. If you notice Ivy spiking hard on one side of the smile, what would you look to next to help determine whether the price might head in that direction versus away from that direction? Well, why the fuck would Ivy head? Hold on. So Ivy's spiking hard on one side. Like, I mean, the market is going to be pulled in that direction. So it's just a matter of how hard that pull is. And then, you know, you're going to look to like supports and stuff. So, you know, if you're sitting on top of like, or just above major support, right? Like spots here, and you're looking at this strike or, you know, this strike, and Ivy's just rocketing. Like obviously you need to confirm that you're going to get some downside crossing the major level before you'd want to like enter a position targeting that. Your testicles, Grim, too. But I mean, like the market is definitely going to get dragged that way. That's what happened here, right? You know, when we were trading at 40, there was good support at 40 at that time. And you know, that those out of the money puts started closing really, really fucking fast. Down at like 63.10. I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna tank. And, you know, that's what happened. Like we pulled through, right? So you could have confirmed here at that breakdown at the 40 and then gone short and just wrote it down, set a stop, trail stop, what have you. And then like we bounced right back to 70 of that large position, just sucked us right back to it. And then that broke down and, you know, we continued to sell off. But that's generally kind of how price moves. So you gotta think, don't just think about like the bars on the screen. Think about what people are incentivized to do at different price points. Yeah, there was no fucking delta to the upside. There was no delta, and calls opened massively overpriced from where they were the night before. Like, we had kind of a boring close the day before. It was like boring, slightly flat, right? And then we just rocketed it up in the overnight. And that tends to make calls at open an extremely lucrative sell side option. And in an environment where everybody's yield seeking, the demand to sell those calls is going to be very, very high. And what that does is, crushes upside IV, allows downside IV to expand. Everybody sells their bot calls, so that pulls all the delta out from, even more delta out from under spot, which already had no delta support. And then you have negative delta piling into the upside of spot. You just have the MM just dumping their fucking hedge as people do that. And then, you get what we got this morning. It doesn't, but put buying to close would increase IV. Buying the option, whether open or closed, doesn't matter, will increase IV. Because demand for the option is up, and so the option price is up. Selling the option decreases IV. Whether it's sell to open or sell to close. So the open close doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You don't care. No problem. It's fucking lonely up here, if anybody... I love to just sit on my throne and pontificate, but if anybody wants to just actually raise their hand, feel free. Moped! Nice. Moped's always got good questions. I'm putting the pressure on you. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Trying to think of good questions, but I guess what I have right now, it's kind of a follow-up to that last speaker about the IV. Is there any really good way to just keep an eye on that? Because it's really hard to see the trends unless you're just like putting your head right against the monitor and just watching.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a lot of what I'm doing when I'm just dead silent and not talking to anybody on the stream, is I'm literally just moving my mouse pointer between the volume and the IV. The new version helps with that a lot, because you're able to see the IV more granularly. We have a tighter view of it. And volume is separated, so you don't have to just keep mousing back and forth. We also have the time buckets that'll help a lot with determining that as well. But this is something that I've wanted to add to live data for quite some time, but it's extraordinarily hard to implement. You have a big problem with, if I wanted to tell you IV at one strike was going up or down over any period of time, right? And I wanted to indicate that in some way, using the UI. You run into a mathematical problem, which is that I could show you that on the 1 minute, right? Which is just going to look like a lot of flashing lights as IV oscillates on the strikes next to you. And then every interval of time I increases the chance that that information becomes wrong, because over the entirety of the day, IV is just rising. So if you look at, you know, your IV curve, IV or your smile, IV at every strike is constantly going up into the expiration at the end of the day. And so you know, like IV might be slightly down at a strike, but the IV is up overall over, you know, 30 minutes. And then also, you know, IV can change really rapidly at strikes relative to spot. So, you know, as spot moves, the IV at this strike is going to move down as spot approaches that strike. And this is just like the indicator, like any kind of indicator would tell you that the IV there is moved down, because the move down is going to be so much greater than the upside pressure from any demand. And so it's we're talking about a lot of like ways to solve this, but it's very difficult.
I bet. Would you say that is the most valuable part of the tool you use intraday?
No, no.
Or does it vary? Or vary
It's
depending on condition?
yeah, I mean it's all, well, like I kind of pointed out how like I like knowing that IV has gone up at a strike doesn't tell you that you're going to necessarily move there, and like you want to confirm that. Like I wouldn't say any tool by itself on this page can handle all of your trading needs, but being able to use them together is definitely where they really shine. So, you know, you can trade just understanding gamma, you could trade just understanding IV, you could trade just understanding you know, like total gamma, like the flips, right? Or, you know, the min max of positioning. But like being able to use all of those tools together, that's where there's like a ton of value. So, you know,
Yeah, for sure.
if you can look at the price chart and be like, oh, you know, price has moved up and it's tested this major level of resistance, and then you look at the IV chart and you see that IV below spot is going up while volume's increasing at the strikes below spot on puts, you know, and then you look at gamma and you see that there's, you know, very little downside resistance. You know, like 80% of the time in that scenario, you're going to get a reversal down to the next support. Like that profit taking that is occurring is going to drive price, you know, back down to where it started, or back down to the support, like the low, whatever the lower support is. And you know, being able to kind of roll through all of them and make that analysis either on finding a support or finding a resistance or breaking out of a trend, that's all, you know, extremely powerful in telling you how price is going to behave due to the positioning already on the chain, due to the effects of dynamic hedging, and due to demand. So when you're looking at IV, you're kind of looking at sentiment. When you're looking at gamma, you're looking at, or delta, you know, you're looking at positioning. Like those options are bought and paid for, sold and paid for. And so, you know, one is kind of like I was saying earlier in that example, like one is kind of your terrain that's already established, and the other is, you know, that little fucker on the bike. And like, you know, you're checking out his thighs. Are they thick? Like, you think he can make it up the hill? Like, and that's what like the IV and volume and those tools do for you. And then, you know, the flips are there to help you understand the dynamic hedge behavior and how that terrain is going to, you know, behave as you traverse it, basically.
So are there
Or like,
different?
actually, you know, like what the weather's like. Let's say that. That's a better analogy. Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. So are there different parts of the charts, different parts of the live data used for different market conditions, or is it kind of like having like an airplane cockpit where you're looking at all the different dials, just scanning them all the time, and they just kind of give you this larger picture, and you just kind of have to know everything about all of them to make a good decision?
I would say that's how I use it. Like, I get, an overview that helps me like assess where I want to enter positions and how I want to manage risk. Um, because I know how the market will, like, knowing how the market will behave if something goes in your favor, and also knowing how it will behave if it goes against you is I think it's I mean, like, I I probably couldn't trade without it at this point. So yeah, I would say that I mean, I still have old habits. Like, I still look at TA and stuff like that. And it's good to have that anyway, because I think, like, if you have a good understanding of technical analysis, or used for risk management, not to predict things, but like if you're just using technical analysis as a risk management tool, I think like having that in your back pocket, and most of the pickle jar has picked up that fucking book at some point. Like, that's really helpful. Like, that can even add another layer to what we're already looking at. And then, you can start to look at things like, it goes deeper, right? Because you can look at, out of the money IV, you can look at where gamma is mispriced. You can look at, like, what's going to happen if we get a large move here. Like, can I scalp the move in gamma out of the money? Or is this going to be like a short move? And like, those layers of information, even though not apparent on the surface, are actually built into the product. So you can kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's like, if you get stuck in a cockpit as like a beginner pilot, like, you don't know what anything fucking does, right? And like, you've got like a steering wheel that's kind of, that makes sense, or, and like a little stick that's for like up and down. And so you can get the gist of it, but as you learn, you're going to learn like when to put your flaps up, and landing gear, and like throttle on the engine, and like how to behave in a stall, and that's also kind of like Gammastrike has all those advanced things. You just don't need them initially to like coast through the air.
Right. I feel like the challenge I have, maybe others as well, is okay. I can look at one chart or like one piece of data. Okay, I kind of get what this is saying. I kind of get what this other piece is saying. But in terms of looking at them all as a whole and being able to make a good trading decision off of that, I think that's still the challenge, where you may be looking at that bottom right, and that seems like to support the move you want to make, but it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. And it's just kind of being able to put all those different pieces together. I think the whole of it, I think, is a bit challenged to synthesize like all those different data points and be confident about it.
I mean, that's part of that's going to be experience. Part of that's going to be knowledge, and part of that is going to just, like, part of that is going to be experience, and then part is going to be knowledge of options, and then the other part is, are you trading correctly? Like, are you trading as like in a risk managed way with planned trades, or are you kind of just YOLOing into the strike you want to print? And those are two like very different things. And a lot of that is accumulated. Like, some of you guys haven't even had this that long. I know you've been around pretty much since we opened it to everyone, but that hasn't been that long. And so it's definitely going to take time to learn to tie all of those things together. But you can also, just make better bets, right? Like if you know where support is, right? Like you say you're just like just a beginner and like you don't know what the fuck's going on with IV, and like volume just seems to accumulate all day, so that doesn't make any sense. And like you just look at like gamma, and you can determine where the high and low are just visually, and
Mhm.
that's tradable. Like you can design trades around all of this information. You can design trades that use all of this information holistically, but you can also just make trades that use one part or another, right? Like you could have, maybe you're just like, I'm not saying you are, but someone who's just like big dumb, they can just be like, I'm gonna short the delta flip, and that's a trade that you can make. It's not necessarily a very good one, but it's a trade you can make, and you can make it a good trade. Like you don't need like additional layers of information on top of that, right? You can just like buy a put here on the test and set a stop above where you bought your put. Either you get stopped out or you make money. And that's the bet. Like that's the money you're putting on the roulette table. And what this does is it increases those odds. So, on a downside test with momentum of delta flip, you're probably going to be right more often than wrong in that trade. Like that is probably going to break down. And it did in that instance. And then it broke down on the retest too. So you could have just done it again later and you would have made even more money. And you could the same thing on the downside. Like you could, like I'm gonna buy the crossover of the gamma flip, right? And like you do okay there. It's like $10. That's enough for like a whole day. You've just got to like set your like every trade that you guys are taking should be like that. It should be buy in, risk, take profit. They should all be structured this way. And if you're doing that, then I mean you don't really need to trade all the data holistically. I will say that, yeah, doing that is going to be better. Like the more you learn and the more experience you get with it, the higher your win rate percentage is going to become, because you're going to know what to look out for. You're going to be able to better identify those setups, and you're gonna improve the profitability or the profit ratio, like the profit ratio of those trades. Either you're gonna have the same success rate broadly but have better profitability, or you're gonna improve both win rate and profitability.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense about having that structured part of the trade. Yeah, I can't afford to YOLO anymore these days, but but mostly I've just been sticking to straddles or inverse iron condors just to reduce capital.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I did screw up yesterday. I had yesterday I had an inverse condor, and we basically opened up kind of near spot. So I just closed out the short legs and just had the two long legs remaining. And then once we got down to like around 6,300, I think, I thought, okay, let me try to sell, some sort of like short leg again. So let me try to sell it like a one DT, short leg, just to hedge off a bit of, the theta. And I kind of did what you laid out. So I sold a short put, like let's say it was like 6,300, and we were at 05, and said like roughly 20% risk. That stopped out. Tried it again. After we bounced and failed, that one stopped out. Then I tried to sell. Okay, I thought maybe we're failing, so I'll try to sell a short call against my straddle, and then that one stopped out. So okay, I could have lost a lot more, but I just kept risking out. And I guess maybe if I would have kept, both those short legs, it wouldn't have been as bad. But I don't know if that's any different because you have that long position already with the straddle and you're just trying to hedge off parts of it, but it's still kind of easy to like bleed out losses.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of over trading um is kind of the problem there. Like especially when you're playing straddles, you really want to look for the extremes of like where those options were priced. Um and downside performance on straddles is generally speaking, like over the almost 3 years that I've been doing them, worse than upside performance. And that's just because of the market's tendency to just gap the fuck up overnight on literally any news. And obviously, when those days happen, they pay for 100 mistakes. But
Oh, sure.
when you're managing straddles in kind of a flat market, I actually really like that you're doing like the inverse condor, because that helps you hedge off the overnight decay if the market stays flat in the overnight. And then, if the market moves up hard, yeah, you don't make as much, but you still make money. Um, and that can be really good if you're just like, if things are kind of range bound. But generally speaking, I mean, I try to look at like delta levels. I try to look at an implied vol, and I try to close, at those levels. And so frequently you'll see me kind of like, like intraday we'll get like the secret high, like we'll push up into like the kind of the top of the range, and then bulls will like lever up above that, and then we'll get another high, and then like usually close like back here on more bullish days. This happens all the time. And it happens to the downside too. Like you'll kind of hit a bottom, and then you'll get like a dump, and then you'll snap back to like break even at close. Very frequently, I close my straddles at these points. So you'll always hear me like lamenting into the back half of the day that like, oh yeah, I closed my straddle at the early high. Because that's generally what I do. And then, on the put side, very frequently on support, especially major support, I'm willing to just close the put most of the time. But I'm far less likely to close a call. So, like, in this situation, like, I'll generally close the put. Whereas on the upside, I'll usually just close both. Especially if the straddle as a whole has hit profitability. And yeah, this does lead to a lot of days that are like 2%, 3%. But 2-3% compounding a day is a metric fuck ton of money. So, I know that looks really bad on paper, or like it doesn't feel good to like close your straddle out at a 2% gain just because you've kind of hit like local resistance. But if you do that every day, you make a lot of money.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the plan for me is I'm going to do those inverse condors pretty much every day until we resolve the whole tariff liberation nonsense, because there's just going to be weird stuff happening, I think.
Yeah. Don't worry, Carl. I lose money some days. Otherwise, I'd be done with that shit already.
Right.
I did do like 1,300% in 2024 on straddles though, which was kind of nuts. Some days are just flat. You just close the whole fucking thing and move on with your life, If you've got like low realized vol, you got a lot of like resistance, everyone's just selling short strangles, like it kind of sucks to be in a straddle. If you can do it for a few days or like 5 days, then then you can try to play the mispriced out of the money breakout. But if you're doing like 2 DTE or 1 DTE, that's not really an option. So yeah, I like your plan doesn't sound bad. I mean, just work on how you're managing them, and think about what Gammastrike is telling you about implied move, and where the market is likely to cap out. Since you're exposed both ways, you just want to hit the extrema of price action each day. You don't care if it's up or down. But if you I know for a fact that if you hit like the max range on the implied move every single day that you trade a straddle, you will make like 2 to 3% a day easy, even if you just close both legs at that point.
Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. I always check the implied move, every morning from Pickle's picks. So it does seem like more recently, like we have more days where we go beyond those expected ranges.
We have very low gamma. And yeah, I mean, if you're actively managing, actively hedging your straddle, then you can pick up that extra money on that
Mhm.
kind of thing happening, or ideally it just happens overnight, which is what I was saying, is like usually the move beyond the implied move occurs in the overnight session more often than it does during the intraday. But like, our downside today was pretty well bounded by, the average of the implied move between the two options chains. Um, and our upside got above it very briefly, but definitely didn't close above it. And so even though we were like, today was like one of the best straddle days in some time. Like you open high, hit a low, close flat. That's amazing. Because IV pricing into the next day is really low because you're closing flat, and then you had like a high and low where your options, like both calls and puts, are very much in the money. The only downside is that straddles were kind of expensive at the end of the day yesterday. Oh, 1 second, I think my food might be here. Does that help answer all your questions?
Yeah, it
Stop!
does. Thanks.
Fucking Christ. Fucking dude is literally kicking my fucking door in. What an asshole. Alright, sorry about that.
No problem. I got one more random question to throw at you, unless somebody
Yeah,
else wants to raise their hand.
no one has.
Guys, you're missing out. All right, so I've noticed that we've been spending a lot more time above Vega neutral. I'm just curious, does that affect like any of your calculations or your models, or is it just one of those just weird things that just sort of happens and you just kind of just deal with it day by day?
Mm, it's specifically part of the dynamic of the market right now, in that short-term risk on is very heavily leveraged, but there's no confidence in like the longer-term short vol. So you get a lot of like very rapidly decaying Vega, um, or just very little Vega overall. And so, with the majority of interest on the SPXW chain, and especially like within like 1 or 2 or 3 expirations from the current trading day, Vega's already just really low. And so the concavity of the market maker's returns above Vega neutral is not as oppressive to the market maker's hedge as it would be if there was a lot of long dated uh like a lot of long dated positioning that was carrying really like large amounts of Vega day over day. And so basically what we're getting above VN is, you get really strong directional trends because the market maker is basically going to hedge their P&L. Yeah, Vega neutrals very like Vega's the delta, basically like the delta of vol, right? It's telling you the change in price with the change in vol. Um, and so it's kind of as a derivative, it's almost equally important to delta, but um, as a neutral point, really it represents just a change in how much money the market maker is making as price moves up or down. And so the market maker is heavily incentivized on any failure in price above Vega neutral to keep selling off until their exposure to Vega is hedged again, like, or zero. But then they stop, right? And because that's above gamma neutral, they become supportive again on the gamma side under VN. And so you see what you're seeing is like, because VN isn't super heavy, you're kind of seeing like the market sell off into VN, and then VN's acting as a support because the gamma hedge kicks in back under VN. And so, you know, as far as like positive gamma, positive Vega, the market maker is selling the downtick, but they're selling the downtick relative to the amount of gamma exposure they have. So if they have a shitload of gamma exposure, you're just going to stay above Vega neutral. But if they have very little gamma exposure and you're above Vega neutral, they're very likely to sell until they're back at neutral Vega. If that makes sense.
Sort of. I get the part about how they stop. I think they stop hedging above Vega neutral, and then once you get below that, then they keep like buying more puts or going long ball. I get that part. I don't really get the part about how that becomes a support above it. But maybe taking a step back, like, do you see this being part of a new normal where you just spend more and more time above Vega neutral, and does that impact like the way we should be approaching these things, or just again day by day?
I mean, I think it impacts the way people understand Vega neutral because of how Vega neutral behaved in 2024, which was, I would say, a far more confident bull market than what we have now. Back in 2024, they were selling longer dated options just at spot. They didn't give a fuck. Like, they did not think anything was going down ever. Like, we would cross a major resistance and they would sell puts 60 days out. They, like, did not care. Now they're selling them 1 day out. And that is creating a scenario where Vega is very low, but Gamma is very high. And so we are just pushing up above Vega neutral because Gamma is really, really high. And the Vega's super low. It has almost no effect, whether it's positive or negative. And so, we were very used to the 2024 behavior where Vega neutral was, fucking really heavily weighted. And the market maker's returns above Vega neutral went concave very, very rapidly. And they became, increasingly exposed to any even slight shift in IV. We would get a sell-off right back to Vega neutral. Also, it meant that Vega neutral was super close to Gamma max. Whereas now, we have like a very wide spread between where Vega goes positive and where Gamma tops out on the chain. And that's because all that interest is so short dated that there's just not a ton of Vega exposure near spot as spot moves up. Now, if you actually look at it on the longer time frames, you will see that we do still pull back to VN pretty frequently. Like, if here's an instance where we moved above it for a couple days. I think we closed below it here, did we? Yeah, we did, because this was no, we closed above it here, and then here, and then below it, right? So it's like 2 days up, and back in 2024, it was very rare for us to spend any time over VN. At all. see how much higher VN was back then. And there was like the run up in Feb where we spent a little bit of time, but we would mean revert. We would just constantly pull back out of that. And we're doing that now, but because Vega neutral is so much weaker, it's at a much slower rate.
Yeah, and I'm not buying any puts because we're above gamma neutral. I've learned
Smart.
that lesson eventually, but but it does seem so tempting to buy puts when you're near Vega neutral because you just know that market maker hedge is going to pick up, but it really has not done that this time around these past few weeks.
Yeah, that's it's telling me I lost all my money. Cobra, I've told you 1,000 times to stop buying puts above gamma neutral, and you do it every time there's a red candle. Anyway, yeah, I hope that... You got any more? Because no one's got their hand up. It seems like you got me all... Oh, wait, I got someone.
All right, cool. Well, I'll hand it over. Thanks so
All
much
right,
for taking some questions.
You got it, dude. Have a good night.
All right, man. Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Later.
You there?
Yep, what's up?
Well, since we don't have to share you with JFresh and Dork or hear about chairs or coffee grinders, we might as well ask more questions.
Yep.
So, is there something that you would look at on Greeks by Strike the night before that would give you an idea that you might be looking at a trend day the next day versus something flat or otherwise? So,
Usually the first thing I'm going to check when I go to look at the overnight Greeks by Strike, like I can just tell you what I do for Pickles picks. It's not that hard. At least for these charts, or at least what I'm getting out of these charts. Is I'm going to go look at where spot is on ES, because that's where like the market's more likely to open. Right now, spot's at like 63.60 almost. Which is just above major support on the SPX chain here, right? So spots up here. Not here anymore. We will change that at some point, but it's very, very difficult without having futures data. And so, if I'm assuming, like, if I'm looking at the gamma structure into close, I know that futures is going to have a little bit of resistance to the upside around this 70 level, where gamma's a bit higher. And it's also going to have a little bit of support here at 60 and support here at 50. I think right now it's just a bit below 60. So I guess this is slightly off. Whatever. Doesn't fucking matter. And that's going to tell me, like, if we open in this range, so if we open here, I'm gonna have some support at 50. I'm gonna have resistance at 70 to the upside. This is likely the early day trading range. And so, I'm gonna kind of mark that. Now, then I have two other considerations I have to make. What will happen if 50 is lost? Well, there's support down here at 25. Gamma's kind of flat down to that. So it does look like a loss of 50 would lead right now almost to like an instantaneous breakdown to 25. Because remember, it's easy to take our bike on those flat roads, right? And then if we're looking at the upside of 70, gamma stays pretty high but declines. This would be pretty grindy, but could continue to just push up. And what I need to check to determine that, and then massive resistance at 95, because you have this huge wall of gamma to the upside, and then you have, you know, kind of support at 90. So if price moved up to 6,400, it'd probably get stuck in that little cup right there. But what I want to check to the upside of 70 is delta, and so I'll go look at delta for tomorrow, right? And see how there's almost no delta to the upside, even though there's all that gamma out there. There's basically no delta up there. And so, like, yeah, the delta is going to increase on those strikes. Like, this is going to move up because we're up in the overnight. But it's still shitty. And it's really, really kind of just negative above 90. And so I could say, you know, from 70 up to 90, price action would be grindy, really grindy, because there's no delta. And 75, which is really where the delta falls off, is likely resistance. And so then I can go back and I can look at that gamma, and I can tell myself, you know, like, that if 75 is resistance on delta here, 70 is resistance on gamma here, I'm probably looking at like a 7250 upside range with 50 support. And now I have my trading ranges. So, you know, I'm probably going to want to go, you know, short or like buy puts or sell calls somewhere up here where there's no delta, and above like that 75 strike. And then, you know, I'm probably going to want to try to play the bounce if we get a test of 50 back to the upside at 72.50. And then if 50 is lost, you know, I'm probably going to buy puts targeting 25. But then when we get down to 25, you know, that might be an opportunity to sell puts. Because, you know, that would be the point at which I would want to take profits on the put I bought, which means that the put I bought is worth a lot of money, which means I probably want to sell it to someone because I think it'll be worth less. But, I mean, trading aside, yeah, that's kind of just how I would map all that out between delta and gamma. I do go into other things, a lot of other things, but really simplistically between delta and gamma.
Great. It's almost like the charts make sense when you learn how to look at them.
Yeah.
If I have anything else pertinent, I'll third time's the charm for you.
All right, man. Well, thank you for asking another one. I appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, no problem. And we don't have to listen to kids in the background, you know?
It's true. I don't have to hear JFresh's children screaming at him.
Perhaps another week I'll come in just so they can know that it was a real thing.
I believe you.
Well,
But
you know, we go way back.
you're a pigeon well now, so you should just don't care.
Again.
Let everyone else deal with your screaming children.
Yes. All right. I will
Have a good
see
night.
myself
Dude.
out again somehow.
I gotcha. It's so peaceful in here. Yeah, we really haven't gotten to any of the talk about things that have nothing to do with the market tonight because, well, it's just me. Do you have a question, Jen, besides saying that you want to upgrade? I thought you didn't trade, like, intraday shit. Hold on, part of the reason JFresh and Doric are up here is so I can do other shit. And B, because if I have to do this, they should too. This is the closest you're getting, Grim, to until you figure out where I live. I know he is. If we figure out where you live, we can get dinner. No, but you could stand outside of where I live while I eat dinner, and that would be closer than currently. Someone raised their hand. You can come back up if you want to, man. I do enjoy these streams even though I don't have the live. I made a note that this one has a lot of basics. If I want to circle back, thank you. No problem. Someone else could, what about Dave DDJ? Or who else? Ben. Why are you being so shy? When is your new live version coming out? Pretty soon? We're finalizing it. I don't know, a few weeks probably. It'll be, same release order. First to the beta, then to everybody. You're a really good boyfriend or father? I don't know. No, I don't want to tease it without everybody. That seems mean. Like, I teased a little bit earlier. It's got a lot, too, so... Glad to help with the bell curve and the sophistication of the questions. No, it was good. I think a lot of people found it helpful. You guys gotta stop being afraid to ask me stupid shit. It's been 4 years of you guys asking me stupid shit, and just when you have to come up on stage and do it, that's the scary part.
Hello.
Hey, Carl. How's the wife?
She's good. She's satisfied. Thank you.
How's the mom?
How's the what?
Your mom.
My mom? My mom is great. She's babysitting tomorrow.
Excellent.
The barrel.
Does that give you time to put together the financial data that I need from you?
I'm doing it right now.
Oh,
Funny
gross.
enough, I just
in the middle of the
I didn't
night.
I didn't. Yeah.
All right.
Well, during the day I have to watch the barrel.
That's
work.
True. Are you work from home now? Because you're like a daddy.
I'm in the office 2 days a week, Monday, Tuesday.
Wow.
She got switched, so I get to blow my ports up on 0DTE day. It's great.
Why do you keep telling your child that I'm his dad?
It's because you are. What do you mean? It went without saying.
I didn't realize how serious it was until you literally had him on camera and you're like, that's your dad.
That was the first time I did that. That was hilarious. I told my wife about that. She was not pleased, but I was dying. What do
Do you have a question about Gammastrike?
would you like me to ask some? I feel like I could ask questions you may have answered, but like haven't talked about in a minute. Like the scanners. I love fucking around with the scanners. What do you do when you go into the scanners? What do you like to look for?
I don't even use them.
Okay, well there you go.
No, that's not true. I do. I just have like so many other scanners that I built in the past, which have
Fair enough.
like nothing to do with options. And I don't get like a lot of time to fuck with them. I really like the exposure one, especially for like put selling. And then like the vol spread one for spreads.
Sure.
I haven't used the OI scanner too much. I do want to dick around with it more. But yeah, you know, a lot of I fucking love G-Scan.
The G-Scan's fantastic.
I still post like G-Scan every
It looks so nice, too.
every Thursday night for 0DTE day.
Oh, don't you worry. I know.
There's some fun shit on there. Last couple weeks, I was even giving people like little bears and bulls.
Other than fuck no, what was it? I think Upstart was on here because other than SPX in April, there was a 0DTE Upstart day where I had calls go from like 6 cents to $6.
Shit, that's insane.
It was great. I just bought some, went to work, opened it up. It's like, well, there we go.
So you like make money trading now, huh?
I do my best. I'm like a lot less frequent with it, so I do my best to be a lot more consistent with it.
That's good. Are you profitable yet, or you still just not even come close to making up your Tesla losses?
Oh, no, that'll never happen. Don't you worry.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Just never have to pay taxes though then. It's brilliant.
That's true.
But yeah, no, I don't like it's been fun. I've just been bleeding in. It's a good time. And I'm excited for Gammastrike.
Yeah, we're gonna be going big launch soon.
One hat.
When fuck. You know,
One merch store.
The box of hats is literally right here. If I open
Are
a
you
merch
looking at
store, you're just gonna purchase a hat. I think JFresh will at
I
this
would.
point, because I haven't sent him a hat
100%.
in 6 months.
100%. I would show myself a hat.
We all will. All right. We'll get it up and running. I've got to find like a pipeline for fucking merchandise. That's like a bitch.
I'll just sell it out of my garage.
Oh, God damn it. Typical
Corner
Chicagoan.
Cornup could ship it in. I'll do the dirty work. Borrow the work.
I don't want some off-brand Southeast Asian hats. If we're gonna charge people an obscene amount of money for hats, we've got to make sure they're good quality.
I can knit them. Stitch them together.
Have you taken up knitting since you've become a stay-at-home dad?
No, but I kind of want to now. Because you can get those like little kits. You can build these little like plush toys. Like they made it so easy to get into the hobby.
Yeah, they have. You can go to Michael's, and then make sure you buy their stock before you go in, of course.
And if we'll send it, I'd be all the revenue for the year.
Yep. I've looked into it. It's just I want it to be like good quality stuff. There's nothing worse than selling merch and it's like shit, like shitty t-shirts and shit. Fuck that.
There's also no better feeling when you get the good quality stuff. Like when it comes in and it's exactly the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be good quality hoodies, jackets, hats, t-shirts. No crap. Thongs. 100%.
Banana hammocks.
100% cotton. How many other of these roundtables will there be? Well, one day they just won't. I don't know when that's
Damn.
going to be, but
Right now, boom, ended.
you're right. I do need to get off. Are you like around to? All right.
Like me, I'm on for a bit. Yeah, but I don't have any more Gammastrike questions. If you're asking me to, like, I can hop off
I
the
think you.
stage.
I think it just went over your head. I was like, I do need to get off. Then I asked if you
Oh,
were
Jesus.
around.
Oh Jesus, I'll go wake up my wife. Oh man. All right.
By then we'll know what to ask, and then they'll be over, so it'll be perfect. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's probably just time to do baby farms.
Okay. Well then, you
You're
have a
already
wonderful night.
farming a baby. How's that going?
I am. It's going all right.
Does he spend a lot
30.
of time at pasture, or
Just
is it-
grazing.
yeah, or is he doing is he doing shit now? Is he I know there's like an age where they just start getting they fucking just get into everything
Yeah.
and they spend
So
their
he's-
entire day trying to kill themselves.
So he's a behemoth. He's just under 30 pounds at a year old.
So you've got to put a helmet on him?
No, he
Oh, okay.
broke the fireplace.
Jesus Christ. Oh, you told me about that. He was trying to eat
Yeah,
the
and
rocks.
he tried to eat the rock from the fireplace. I'm like, what the hell? He cruises. He can't walk yet, but I think he can. I think he's just a lazy piece of shit. And
It's probably
he knows-
too heavy. He's got little tiny legs.
I know. He's got to haul his fat ass around.
Your kid's what, a year old and 30 pounds?
Yeah, no, he's a monster.
Jesus Christ. He's gonna be is he gonna be like that fat redheaded kid in middle school who then grows up to not be so fat?
He might be.
Wait, was that
Or
you?
he might. Well, no, I'm still fat and ugly, but thanks.
You're beautiful, Carl. We've all
Oh,
seen you
stop.
drink wine.
I'm I've been off the wine. It's been cheap beer.
Wow. Why?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Sulfates? Oh, okay.
It's just I like beer. I like beer, man.
Maybe
I'm a
because you
simple
were
Midwesterner.
maybe because you were just drinking actual bottles of wine at once for 2 years.
I'm just no, I have no appeal to wine. And it was shit wine too.
Yeah, it was really bad. Yeah, I don't like wine either. It's fucking adult grape juice. The worst thing is wine snobs, and they're like, "Oh, this wine, I can taste the terroir." Fuck you, fuck you.
I'm
It's just
tastes red.
grape juice that tastes like it has extra French dirt in it. Yeah, headaches. Just drink vodka, or Everclear.
I'm a gin guy.
Everclear
If
is
I'm
the
doing-
best alcohol.
If I'm doing clear liquor, it's gin.
Yeah, I like gin. Gin's good. But vodka just tastes like whatever you put it in, and that's nice too.
I feel like vodka is one of the only drinks or beverages that I could just if I just ripped straight from the bottle, I could just keep going. There's no burn as long as I'm going.
That's true for Everclear also, because it just
Which I guess
it burns you so
just says a
badly
lot
you
about how
can't-
much I drink vodka when I drink vodka.
All right. So thanks for answering my question about whether we're going to Chicago for the quant meeting. The answer is
Oh my
no.
god, hell yeah. Yeah, let's go to our CBOE.
No, I'm not going to Chicago.
It's a great town.
In the end of summer in Chicago?
I don't even live in the city.
Of course you don't.
I'm suburban American dream dad. I just need a dog.
A dog? Why? So
I don't know.
you want
And
an
I
extra
can
child
literally
to take care
I
of?
I can get the suburban the I am a suburban stamp. I'll earn it.
Oh, okay. You could just put one of those baby on board stickers on your car.
No. Actually, so
Or
funny
the one
enough,
with
I
the
was-
little like chalk outlines of your whole family, so you can let pedophiles know how many children you have and what age they
right? They just get the count.
are. Yeah,
The
it's like, oh
intention,
man, that family's got 7 kids, and it's gonna be really easy to take one of them.
and that family has 6 kids. We've got plenty to spare. They got the extras. But freaking the baby on board things were meant to be in case of an emergency. If the fire department had to come, they knew to get the babies first.
Oh,
And now it's just become, I feel like people drive crazy with them, and then they like get mad at you and they point at the baby on board thing. And I'm like, what the hell, man?
I saw this thing on Amazon. It's like an LED light board, and you can put it in your rear windshield, and then you can just push to talk, and it will type out what you say on the light board. And I'm putting that in my car.
Like it
So,
displays the light behind you.
huh?
Like, so if I'm a car behind you, like I
Yeah,
see
you
this
can
light board,
read the thing I'm saying.
how accurate is it? Like, how
Very.
well would it, like penis? Like, would
Yeah,
it do
no,
it?
if you
Like,
wrote, if you just like you pick up your phone and you hit the push to talk, and then you say penis, and then it writes penis on your rear windshield in LEDs.
so I feel like, and I feel like especially for you, because I guess I'm ignorant to this, but like New York is actually just like traffic to traffic every block until you're like outside of the city.
Yeah,
So you'd get full value out of that. It'd
yeah,
be perfect.
they'd have to read it for like an hour.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'll expense it.
So much road rage forthcoming. Oh, excellent. What causes gamma to be so high at certain strikes when delta isn't changing all that much underneath it? Gamma expands exponentially into close. Does not. Delta's 1 or
Just
0.
linear.
Yeah.
It's 1 or 0.
At close, yeah. In the money strikes are
Oh
1.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, at expiration.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the shit show that is like last 10 minutes of the day.
Gamma's also highest at the money, Dave. So if the strikes are near spot, gamma will be higher, whereas delta is less out of the money or more in the money, but gamma's just highest where spot is and next to spot. Local, I hate the New Jersey Turnpike. That thing doesn't make any fucking sense with its like left exits. It's bullshit. They could put one on the front windshield and argue back with you. That'd be fucking awesome. I would love to just sit in traffic arguing with some random stranger all day about how shitty of a driver they are. Alright, well, yeah, I guess I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm bored.
Nice. Don't. I have nothing.
Alright,
Don't let
man.
me hold you here.
I'll catch you later. Have a good night,
Have a
Carl.
good night.
Later, everybody.